Okay, well, one thing I learned during my month, fighting month, or our month, should get the pronouns right, is that I suck at fighting games, 2D1 specifically. And I had a really hard time picking a game that I could just do well at and not feel like I was getting cheated. Well, lo and behold, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 met me where I was at. It is an arena fighter where you pick three characters and you go into I'm not arena fighter, what am I saying? A tag team fighter where you tag in teammates to come join in and help you take on the opposition. The difficulty modes actually made it pretty tolerable, and I appreciated that. So I'm going to get into sort of the gameplay now. Essentially, this is, it is a clash between universes, a multiverse, if you will, of Marvel and Capcom. I'm getting the face. I don't know. I'm just throwing lingo around. Let me have this. So basically, there is no plot except for Galactus is this big bad Marvel dude, and you fight him at the end of arcade mode. Great, awesome. I don't care. I don't need a story here unless they're going to do a strict story mode. And they didn't. It's basically a fighter first. And I appreciate that. I appreciate the huge roster. There's like 50 characters, 25 on each side to pick from. This is actually the remaster or update, I guess, of Marvel vs. Capcom 3 Fate of Two Worlds. It's actually the fourth entry, technically, in the Marvel vs. Capcom universe because it started with X-Men vs. Street Fighter in the mid-90s. And then it later became Marvel vs. Capcom. Alex would like to jump in. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was gonna say fifth. It's the fifth entry.
Tagged you in. There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Fifth, fourth though, if you consider 3 and 3 the same. So I don't know. Whatever. Tomato, tomato. I liked the different fighting styles and how it kind of felt like I could kind of button mash to meet my needs. Essentially, it's between low, medium, and high power attacks. And the game sort of trains you well. There is like a neat training mode where they have you try and pull off combos. There's like missions that you can do like that. That basically is the mission mode. And then there's like another mode that's like a card style mode. That was okay. But the main story is cool because you get to go through the main arcade mode is cool because you get to go through different layouts, different levels, and see like the different environments of the Marvel worlds and the Capcom worlds. And they put three people up who you'd never kind of pit together otherwise, like putting frickin' Jill Valentine with Storm from X-Men. Or how about Nemesis and Doctor Doom? There's a lot of cool options, a lot of like crazy options. Like I never thought I'd be playing as Nemesis in a fighting game. That's awesome. And then, of course, there's some favorites there, too. A lot of fan favorites. Amaterasu is a classic. Beautiful Joe for Alex. Who else we got? We got some Darkstalkers characters. They play kind of similar to the Capcom fighting style. Obviously, if you prefer one or the other, this game is for you. Like if you're a Marvel guy or if you're a Capcom gal, like there's something for everyone for people for both sides. So I appreciated that. And while I'm not as much a Marvel guy, I'm more of a Capcom guy. I did find myself playing as a couple of the characters and enjoying it. I do especially like the Capcom ones, though, especially because they play faithful to their origins. So, like Ryu from Street Fighter, it's basically the same inputs for a Hadouken or a Shoryuken, and even the backward kick. And I really appreciated that. There's a lot of alternate costumes, and one of them is as Ken. The representation across series is pretty interesting. Like they have like 5 Resident Evil characters, and I think like 4 Street Fighter, and then like 3 Darkstalkers, and then they just put like Frank West from freaking Dead Rising. So like, I don't know. I thought it was interesting. Like they do like some odd ones, and then they do like a bunch from another. I was surprised to not see that much Mega Man. I think there was like 1 character from Mega Man Legends. And then from Marvel, you have some X-Men, you have some Marvel characters, you have some of the classic comic book characters. I'll read off a couple of them. Hulk, Doctor Strange, that's more of your Marvel universe. Deadpool is interesting. She-Hulk, okay, She-Hulk. What's interesting too is this game was a 2011 release, so you had not actually seen a lot of the modern Marvel movies up to that point. So the design of the characters is more of a comic book style, kind of what their original look kind of was, and it translates kind of interestingly to Xbox 360 style graphics. And I mean, part of it is the artistic comic book style. Like Amaterasu roster looks beautiful. Ryu even looks really good. They had messed with comic book style up to that point for Street Fighter look. So, he translates pretty well. But then you look at like Doctor Strange, and he looks a little strange, to be honest. Chris Redfield, they're going more of like the Resident Evil 5 route. They go Jill Valentine, who's like taking over with her the heart piece or whatever. Chris Redfield doesn't translate as well. But I think that in general, I like the look and the aesthetic. Unlockables, a lot of cool ones. There's a gallery. So basically the way it works is when you go through arcade mode with the set of 3 characters, whoever your finishing character is the one you get the story stuff for. And by the way, the tagging in this game is like how you generate higher combos and things of that nature. So actually, I thought I was going to be good at it, but I played on normal. I was getting spanked by some of these CPUs, man. So you really do need to get the systems down. It is a competent and combative fighter in its own right, and it's one that there's a lot to learn from and a lot of play styles to learn from. And I'm only scratching the surface. I played through arcade mode 3 times as 3 separate characters, and I'm excited to get more into it.
Who? Marvel Cat was good. No, dude. When this game was coming out, the hype surrounding it was insane because the last Marvel vs. Capcom was the second one, which was like Dreamcast. Of course, it had ports, but I was super hyped for this, and I got it at release on 360, and I'm seeing some stuff in the chat here. Terry's saying that the characters that made it are only the popular Marvel ones, and I'm actually gonna give him some pushback because this was like a couple years into the MCU stuff with Disney, and I think he's thinking of Infinite because the game after this, Infinite, had like the more MCU looking characters. This still had a lot of the obscure comic book characters like a Shane McGorath and Doctor Strange. Right, Rocket was here before Guardians of the Galaxy even came out. People didn't know who the hell Rocket was. And the same thing with the Capcom side. The Spencer would appreciate the fact that and on the Ultimate update, because this is actually the 3rd iteration, because it's Marvel's Capcom 3 and then Capcom 3 Ultimate, which added more characters, and then this is the remaster of that. So Phoenix Wright is here, Spencer, and you can yell objection as an attack.
No objections to that.
But this game's awesome to me. Like, it's probably not my favorite. 2 is probably my favorite, but this is probably in second place for me because it has a really good roster and the characters are really faithful to the series. The characters played really well. And there's all sorts of fun references. I love the fact that, again, Deadpool wasn't a popular character yet, and they still utilize Deadpool in cool ways. Like, one of his attacks, he can literally grab the health bar and fucking bash it over your head. Like, that's a very Deadpool thing to do. So like they had a lot of like love and care for the characters in this game, and I really loved it when I played it.
Yeah, I remember hearing about 2 as the tournament fighter one. That's the one that they play in all the big shows. Disappointing that 3 didn't quite translate that well, but it still looks cool. I like that it's got a cool art style to it. I don't know if this is because none of these seem to be in game footage, but it seems to follow a pretty like cell shady style.
Yeah,
definitely
looks good. Looks really good.
90% of the time I say it looks good. Sometimes it looks a little off.
I'm glad that there's not a huge focus on the story, at least as you said, because I'm getting flashbacks to Project X Zone.
Play Infinite, dude. They did a shitty story, like campaign story modes thing in Infinite with like cutscenes, and it is
really
horrendous. It's horrendous. It is.
Is that one of 3 a tag team fighter as well?
Yeah, I think that one. I haven't played much of it. It's just so funny because I bought the special edition. I have. Like, they had a thing of like characters, like these character statues, which I have. It was like Mega Man X, Chun-Li, Iron Man, and Captain Marvel. So I have all those statues still, and I have the shitty Easter egg looking Infinity Stones that they came with that look awful. But I sold the game shortly after. But I think they went back to like a 2-on-2 thing because I think Street Fighter X-Men was 2-on-2. So I think they like harkened back to that for that one. But it's still a tag mechanic in there, yeah.
I could see that being weird for a story mode, but maybe you could make it work. Like you just put like the kind of protagonist of each story, like or each verse, each
No, that's not how they did
series.
it.
I just find it like irritating in these crossover games when I just feel like they don't really respect the player's intelligence with trying to make these stories happen, and they're like, and he unlocked a stone that opened up a portal to it. It's just like, please don't force this on me. Like, just make
Yeah,
this
it would be like it would be forcing it a little bit. Like 'cause the story will never logically, corroborate. Um, but I guess my thing is, and the reason I brought it up is like I feel like the game kind of just hands everything to you at the beginning. And so I really, I mean, I guess there's a mode I could unlock or something, Galactus mode, but the only incentive to play is just to play and play with the fighters and go through arcade mode that way, which I don't mind, but I'm not gonna lie, like I love how like Smash Brothers does it, where I have to earn those characters.
Yeah, that's why Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is so intriguing, because that game, it has like 50 something characters as well, but you have to unlock the majority of them playing. So like that game's just fun, just because like I've played through that a few times where like I used to have the original Xbox port of that one, and then which I actually sold for quite a bit, because it was worth quite a bit, and then a few other digital versions, and that one's fun to play through, but just because, yeah, it is just like an arcade ladder, but like, like a boss fight, but yeah, the whole fun is like getting to unlock all the other characters and be like, oh shit, I got War Machine, I got Sabretooth from Marvel, I got all these characters. I got Jill Valentine. So it's like fun doing that. And that's something that like a lot of fighting games don't have nowadays. Like you kind of just start up a fighting game and it's like, well, there is the roster, and you're gonna pay for the DLC characters when they come out and have fun.
Well,
It's like
the problem is the internet.
yeah, the problem is like the tournament scene, right? I guess.
Right. The tournament scene is worldwide now, and it's not local, and the internet exists. So there isn't that special feeling of like you unlocked something that nobody else did. You can just literally Google how do I get these characters, and like,
Oh yeah, yeah,
they'll tell
and
you
like
in 2 seconds.
you're gonna know every character in the game before it comes out. There's no surprise in it,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not that much of a purist that it needs to be like that, like special or whatever. Like I had to do it guideless. I just think that like when it's completely handed to you, the incentive is much less.
Something that is cool about this game though is that this game actually has legs still, because people mod this game still and make new characters for it. So this game is still very much alive in the fighting game scene, because there's still a constant effort to basically make brand new characters out of like they like take like animations and stuff from like other characters and build new characters out of it. Like I've seen some they did like a really cool version of Venom, which wasn't in the game, and stuff. So this game is still very much alive in its own cool modding scene, whereas its sequel Infinite died abruptly. So
Yeah, I noticed that because both games are on the Xbox storefront, and this seems to be the preferred one.
Hey y'all, don't forget to subscribe to them button mappers.